I now have the honor of introducing a personal hero of mine, Dr. Tiffany Manuel. Dr. T is the founder and CEO of TheCaseMade and executive director of the Redress movement. Dr. T shows us every day and generously shares her expertise in how to change the conversation and build a narrative that brings people in to righting the wrongs and taking action that will put all of us onto the path to a bright future where everyone can thrive. Dr. T, I turn it to you.
Thank you, Rachel. It is an absolute pleasure to be here. I have watched for years CHAPA grow and develop and grow the impact of the work across the state and across the country. And it is just an absolute pleasure to help you open up this important conversation around fair housing. So true to form, many of you know me from my work at TheCaseMade, which is all about narrative change and storytelling. I want to start there for us, just framing a few comments as we begin this very important conversation about fair housing across the Commonwealth. At TheCaseMade, the #1 principle of case making is always that you connect to people's aspirations, no matter what part of fair housing you are making the case for. Your ability to be able to do that is what helps to pull people forward. So before we get into all of the data and research that we're going to hear today, the powerful work that's been done to help us really understand both the history, the context, and the present opportunities for advancing more just housing systems across the state, I want each of you to just take a moment and I want you to really think about why you are doing this work around fair housing. I mean, really, I want you to visualize what is it about this moment or about your life or about your aspirations in the profession that you have that bring you to this conversation today and make you passionate about what we have to do to right fair housing in the Commonwealth. What is that? Just take a moment. And as we have this conversation today, thank you for doing that with me. As we have this conversation today, I want you to be thinking about what is it that you want to see for the future of Massachusetts that gets us to a different place. And when I think about my why, because that's really about, right, for each of us, the thing that carries us forward, even when we have the data, even when we have the whatever it is, our why is what draws us forward. I'd like to share with you a little bit of an inspiration from my why. My why are my 2 boys. 2 just handsome as you can possibly get, 14 and one my youngest is 14 and my oldest is 17. And they are my why I do this work, because I want a different future for them. I want a future outlook for them. I want to leave for them a legacy that's different from what I was left with, right, from the past generation. I want to have us move us forward on this issue of really of belonging and inclusion in a very different way. And I want you to really think about for you, right, what that looks like. And not everybody on this call has children or thinks about that in that way, but for those of you who have children or grandchildren or are caregivers to any number of folks, or you just want to leave the next generation with something better, I'm going to do a little reading that I hope will get you inspired by that. In the spirit of that, for me, and certainly the why that I bring to this, I want to read a piece by a poet, a wonderful Afro-Latino who's written a poet, Leslie Honoré, who's from Chicago. She is just fabulous in every possible way. And she penned a poem, one of many, around the time a couple of weeks ago when Ralph Yarl, many of you know the story of when he was shot. This was an African-American young man, a teenager shot in Kansas City, Missouri, when he was asked by his parents to go and pick up his brother. And he had mixed up the addresses of where we're supposed to go. And he mistakenly got to the wrong address and rang the bell. And he stood there and he kept ringing the bell because he thought his brother, his twin actually was there. And the homeowner, who was white, sort of, muttered a couple racial epithets at him and then came out with a shotgun and shot him several times. Many of us are trying to make sense of that, as we do when any kind of act like that, senseless act of violence happens. Some are asking, was it about racism, right? Was that the core thing there? Was it about, did that happen because we lack gun control? Did it happen because of mental health issues of the homeowner? The answer to that is probably yes to all of that, probably. But it's also a result of, I would gather, of our segregated housing system. that keeps us so divided and fearful of each other that these kinds of events, these kinds of situations have been a part of the lexicon of who we are as a nation for our entire history. And so I want to read the poem that she penned with the idea that it's a part of my why, right? For why I'm coming to you today and why I feel so committed to this issue about fair housing. When Black boys are born, we mothers kiss their faces. We twirl our fingers in their curls. We put them in carriers on our chest. We show them to the world as our tiny Black princes. And when they start school as early as 3, we mothers, we place huge backpacks on their backs, and we slowly fill them with bricks. Etched with tools, tattooed with truths, hoping to save them. We say to them, don't talk back, don't get angry, say yes, ma'am, say no, sir, don't fight. Even if they hit you first, especially if they're white, do your best, better than best. Be still, work harder, work hardest. Brick. They get a little older and we add more. Keep your hands out of your pockets. Don't look them in the eye. Don't challenge. Don't put your manhood before your life. Just get home safe. Don't walk alone. Don't walk with too many boys. Don't walk towards the police. Don't walk away from the police. Don't buy candy or iced tea. Don't put your hood up. Don't ring the doorbell. I'll drive you. I'll pick you up. You can't be free. Don't go wandering. Come home to me. Brick. They get a little older and we add more. Understand that you're a threat. Standing still, just breathing. Your degrees are not a shield. Your job is not a shield. Your salary makes you a target. Your car makes you a target. Your nice house in a nice neighborhood, if you can get it, makes you a target. Don't put your ego before your safety. Don't talk back. Don't look them in the eye. Get home to your wife, your son. Brick. They weigh them down, this knowing of having to carry the load of their Blackness. The world hasn't changed. The straps just dig a little deeper into their skin, their backs ache, their souls don't break. Our beautiful Black men. When you say to me that all lives matter, I simply ask, will your son be shot for ringing the wrong doorbell of the wrong home? Ours have. That may seem a bit heavy for starting out today, but I want us to really get into the heart of this. And I want us to do that because so much of what we're going to talk about feels very academic and can feel disconnected to the everyday realities of what we're looking at. But a large part of what we're talking about is about the ability of our nation to do better, to erase the things that are dividing us so that all of us get to experience a very different kind of life here together. And so as we start this convening, I want us not certainly to have the heaviness of that, but to have the depth of emotion of what this actually means. That it's not just about the semantics of this law or legislation or this piece of changing, right, housing, work, or the policy proposals that are on the table. This is about the lives of people of all races, of all economic circumstances, of all sexual orientations, of all religious backgrounds, to be here, to belong, right, in a way that the fair housing legislation tries to begin to get us to. So I'm going to say welcome, dig into your why and aspiration, listen hard and intensely, and let's talk about what we can do to prepare ourselves for a better place.